In 1860, Abraham Lincoln won the Republican nomination for president over three men who were more experienced, more widely respected, and more politically connected than he was. And then he gave them the most powerful jobs in his administration: Secretary of State, Secretary of the Treasury, and Attorney General. His rivals now become his cabinet. Every political advisor of the era would have told him that was a grand, grave mistake. Lincoln didn't care. He understood something about leadership that most people, both then and now, spend their careers trying to figure out. Welcome to the HaltingWinter Podcast. I'm Seth Winterhalter, keynote speaker, founder of the Municipal Leadership Development Circle. This show exists because local government leadership is one of the most complex, most consequential, and most underserved leadership contexts in the world. The people doing that work deserve better than just generic business advice dressed up with a few government examples. So today, we're kicking off not only a new book inside the MLDC, but the summer series. We're calling it Stories That Shape Leaders. Every week this summer, we're working through a unique book that has something insightful and inspiring to say to the very people running cities and counties and public organizations across this country. The book this week, Team of Rivals, The Political Genius of Abraham Lincoln. It's by Doris, Kearns, Goodwin. What Goodwin wrote underneath the history of just a fascinating look at the Civil War is one of the most useful leadership books I think I've come across. Here's the core of what Goodwin is arguing. Lincoln's genius wasn't primarily military or even oratorical. It was relational. He had an almost extraordinary ability to understand people, to sense and see what they needed, what they feared, and what they were protecting. He used that understanding to build and hold together a coalition of rivals that should have collapsed easily under its own weight. His cabinet, it was filled with men who disliked him, distrusted him, and at various points actively worked to undermine him. Seward thought Lincoln was a puppet. Chase tried to take the Republican nomination away from him even while serving as his Treasury Secretary. Stanton had humiliated Lincoln publicly in a legal case years before they ever worked together. And Lincoln, he led them all. Not through this dominating authority, not through fear, but through something much harder to manufacture and yet much more durable. Genuine character, applied consistently over and over again. Goodwin's argument is that the qualities we associate with decency, things like empathy, kindness, honesty, compassion, that these aren't separate from leadership or political effectiveness. In the hands of a serious leader, they form a unique power, and Lincoln proved it. Here's why I think this book deserves a week inside the MLDC, specifically for local government leaders. You are leading inside a hyper-political environment, and you're leading in that environment every single day. Now, no, it's not the Civil War, obviously, but the dynamics aren't quite as different as you may think. You have elected officials with their own agendas and constituencies. You have department heads with competing loyalties and long institutional memories. You have community members who don't always trust the organization that you represent. And you have staff who are watching how you behave when things get hard. The question Lincoln's story keeps asking over and over is this: what kind of leader are you when the coalition is under pressure? Most leadership development content will tell you to be strategic, to build alliances, to manage your stakeholders, to communicate your vision. And all of that is real. All of that matters. But Goodwin makes a more fundamental argument that the foundation of Lincoln's effectiveness was not his strategy, it was his character. And that character, the empathy, the consistency, the willingness to absorb blame and give away credit, it all compounded over time to something none of the political maneuvering around him could rival or touch. Seward, his biggest rival, the man who arrived in Washington convinced he'd be running Lincoln's administration in no time, ended up writing to his wife years later. He said something very short, very simple. He said, Lincoln was the best of us. See, that's what character produces over time with people who are watching closely. If you're not yet a member of the MLDC, this is the week and the time to do it. Join us as we spend the summer looking at some really unique books books you probably wouldn't think about having on your shelf under the leadership section. I think it's going to be a real fun couple months as we work through some really unique books and mine them for leadership insights and secrets. So head over to HaltingWinter.com/MLDC. The link is in the show notes. Halting, HALTING, HaltingWinter.com/MLDC. Join the community of city, county, managers and administrators, department heads, all kinds of unique municipal leaders who want to not only sharpen their own blade of their leadership, but also work together to be an encouragement across this United States, even into Canada now, abroad. So North America, how can we sharpen each other and encourage each other? Because the work is challenging, but it is oh so vital, oh so important. Pick up the book Team of Rivals. If you haven't, add it to the bookshelf. I'm Seth Winterhalter. This has been the Halting Winter Podcast. Until next time, keep leading with impact.